How's it going, guys? My name is Zach with the Movie Castle, and today we're going to be talking about Jessabelle. Well, Jessabelle with an A, not Jezebel with a Z. This movie is from 2014, directed by Kevin Greutert, who I believe did a lot of the Saw sequels. And this movie stars Sarah Snook, who I believe went on to do Succession on HBO. We also have Mark Webber and David Andrews, and this movie is from Blumhouse Tilt. Not entirely sure what the Tilt variation on Blumhouse is. If I had to guess, that'd probably be like direct-to-video films or something. Not 100% sure, and if someone knows the difference, feel free to tell me. But overall, this was a movie that I had heard a little bit about. People said it was kind of scary and underrated and worth checking out. And to be honest, this cover where it's half her and half the ghost and the hair is tied around the neck, it's a cool looking cover. So this had been on my to-watch for a while, and I finally got around to checking it out. And now that I've finally seen it, it's fine. It's one of those movies that had a lot that I really liked behind it, you know? It's got a cool Louisiana setting, it's got creepy VHS tape footage, and it, you know, not the whole movie, it's not found footage, but there's VHS segments. And it's also got a special ghost that's in some way tied to you. A cool ghost idea. And overall, I wanted to like this movie a lot more than I did because it did have all these cool elements, but I mean, it did have problems as well. And I think with this movie this is going to be one of those movies that I don't think about much, but then whenever I get reminded of it, I'll probably think, oh yeah, that one was okay, but not much more than that. And I think it is because it does have these problems. Overall, this movie does have some really good elements, and it definitely did have potential, but it also had flaws too, and we'll get into that. But first, let's go ahead and talk a bit about the plot. I'm not going to be doing any major spoilers. I just want to cover the setup and maybe pause to analyze a little bit. But anyway, we open up with our main character, Jessabelle, and she was just in a car accident. It killed her fiancé, and it caused her to miscarry, unfortunately. And now, with nowhere else to go, literally no one else in the world, she has to turn to her estranged father, who lives in the middle of the country in Louisiana. She, because she was just in a car wreck, is going to be wheelchair bound for a few months, and in turn, that really limits her mobility, and you really do feel that in this movie, but she can't go up the stairs, and all the bedrooms are upstairs, except her mother's old bedroom. Her mother died of cancer when she was just a little baby, and it's someone she doesn't really know and kind of wants to form some sort of a connection with. The idea that the past is far off and mysterious. And what happened? Who was she? Well, she looks around the room and she finds a mysterious VHS tape. And it's a recording of her mother when she was pregnant with her, doing a tarot card reading for her in the future to try to connect with her. And of course, during the tarot card reading, she'll say a few things that don't quite make sense, that don't quite work, and have a few ominous tones to them. So hints at a potential bad future, hints at death coming for Jessabelle, and another spirit in the house with her. Her mother will warn her about that. A mysterious spirit that will be tied to her in some way. But of course, it's not all on one tape. She's going to have to find more tapes and get more clues. Now, that is a little bit of a contrived plot device because VHS tapes definitely hold more than a few minutes. I mean, even if you were shooting on super high quality mode and it wasn't the longest tape. I mean, movies are like an hour and a half. VHS tapes hold movies. I don't know why the mother decided, nah, only like 5 minutes on this tape and let's bring in a new one. Okay, it is a bit of a contrived plot device to separate out the mystery and create multiple scenes of it, but let's forget about that for a second. But anyway, upon hearing these warnings, upon having to live in the house for a while, and being on her own a lot, she starts to get haunted by the mysterious ghost. She starts to feel threatened, and she needs to solve the mystery. Who is this ghost? How is it tied to her? And what does it want from Jessabelle there? Now, overall, this movie has large chunks that work and large chunks that don't, and let's take a minute to analyze this. I think one of the big problems is how the characters are handled. They're handled in a cold and distant way, which in some way does create that feeling of isolation that Jessabelle feels, but it isn't, you have to have some warmth. You have to have the connection to feel how far away things are, and all the characters here are just very cold and distant. For example, Jessabelle is literally alone in the world. All she has, the only person that would take her in after the accident is her father. And if you're that low on friends, and that's it, you really should be in a very bad state. And we get that she's upset, but I mean, this is a bad situation. You also just miscarried and lost your husband. I mean, you should be on the brink of tears every second, But, I mean, the miscarriage hardly comes up, and you think it would tie into the plot more later and they'd bring it up more, but it doesn't. And, like, her fiancé or husband died at the beginning of the movie, and then there's a really bad forced romance between her and this guy she knew from high school that's gotten remarried, and it's like, whoa, your husband just died and he's married. I don't think this is the opportune romance here, but it's in the movie anyway. And also there's this weird thing with the characters, and it may be the movie's budget, but she's only allowed one other person at a time. She's alone a lot, but when she's with someone, she'll be with her father, or she'll be with her old high school friend, or a little bit of the time she'll be with this cop. Hardly ever is she ever with more than one person at once, and I guess maybe this is to feel isolation, but really this whole world kind of feels cold and distant, and that is the thing, is you do need a sense of warmth. You need warmth to feel the scares, The Conjuring is a really good example of this. But by having the warmth, it establishes what you have and what you want to protect and what you could potentially lose. And Jessabelle simply doesn't have anything left to lose. But also having warmth establishes a status quo. So when we get to the scary sequences, they pop out and we feel that sense of building dread, which we really don't get in this movie when the whole thing is dull, creepy gray without much contrast, So the scares aren't really great, and there definitely needs to be work with tension here. Tension, it's, you have something, you're in safety, the threatening thing comes up, how do you build and release? And yeah, the whole time it's just creepy gray. You don't really have the tension fluctuations that you need. And yeah, building and releasing tension's hard, but yeah, this movie just doesn't do it really well, which really does suck when there's so many things that I do like in this movie, so many things that work really well. The house is nice and gloomy, it's shot really well, and there's several, good ideas here, There's a good scare where she's in this bed, and the bed has one of those curtains around it that she can barely see through, and she thinks she sees her mother or the ghost or something moving on the other side of the curtain and sitting in the old wheelchair. That's really cool. There's a really fun dream sequence in here. I like that as well. And of course the famous bathtub scene where she's taking a therapy bath and all of a sudden the other person, the ghost, pops up on the other side of the tub and she doesn't know because she's asleep. You know, classic Nightmare on Elm Street stuff. Then the bathtub starts to bubble over with muddy swamp water and then she starts attacking her. But anyway, this is a good movie with good atmosphere. I just wish it all played out better. I mean, the Louisiana atmosphere, it looks so nice. And, you know, the themes of, like, you know, voodoo magic is pretty cool. Although that being said, I'm sure that some of it is considered problematic by a modern point of view, although I don't think that was the intent of the creators. And it also has a mystery with a really good reveal to it. The mystery here, it's something I haven't really seen done too many times. When it's revealed who the ghost is and why there's a connection, you can go back and look throughout the movie and go, oh, that's what Mother meant on her tarot card reading. That reading makes so much more sense now, and it all works. And, you know, finding all these new tapes is pretty fun. Although that being said, it's not quite doled out at a good enough pace. You know, it seems like there's 2 or 3 big mystery chunks where all the plot comes out at once. And I do wish it was a little more spread out. But, I mean, other than that, I do like the mystery and I do like the twist reveal. And I do like how it has, you know, something that's a little different and a cool reason for why this ghost wants to go after you, and it's a dark, messed up, disturbing reason. Yeah, and yeah, definitely some questionable morality behind it, but this is a horror story, you know? But overall, there's a lot that I like. I like the mystery, the VHS tape, I like the really cool ghost, and I like the old crumbling haunted house. It's just a shame that the characters weren't better, the mystery wasn't paced out in small little pieces better, and also, yeah, definitely that tension didn't quite work. But overall, I do want to say, in general, I do like a lot about it. It's just one of those movies, it's a nice car that just won't quite start. So there's a lot that I like. It's in general good. One of those movies that's just right on the edge of really becoming something. And yeah, I don't know, it's kind of sad it didn't 100% pan out. But overall, Jessabelle is fine. It's worth a watch, but not the best thing ever, you know? Anyway, to everyone who's watched so far, thank you for watching. To everyone who's liked and subscribed, thank you. You really are helping the channel out. I'll leave a relevant playlist on the bottom. How about the Ghost playlist? You can see me talk about other ghost movies like The Conjuring, a really great movie, or The Shining should be in there as well, my review of that. So if you want to see me talk about more Ghost, you should be able to click right here and see more. Anyway, have a good day. I'll see you guys again very, very soon. Ghost playlist on the bottom. Have a good day now.